instead of just a regular
nonsense.
set. That's what you got to do. Come on now.
You look good, though. That's a nice jacket.
Don't I? You see, you started off right.
Nice
First
job.
takes in the house. He knows what time it is.
So happy Thanksgiving, everybody, as we get ready to rock.
It's Thanksgiving, so let's eat. Eat on three, baby. Intercepted by the Lions. To the end zone. Unbelievable. They caught it. Game day on Thanksgiving, baby. We're going to go get this one.
It is my favorite holiday. Food, family, football, first take, fun, all of it. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. Happy Thanksgiving, everyone. Mad Dog, happy
On a
Turkey
Thursday,
Day.
love to be here. He looks sharp as Italian.
This is a Thanksgiving feel for me.
It is. I had to give you the Thanksgiving feel. I had to pull this out. Happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Happy to have you. Happy Thanksgiving. Always thankful for you. You know that.
Yes.
And the rest of the crew here. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. I just have one condition today. One condition only. Nobody touches the wings. They belong to me. Other than that, we good.
Okay.
We good.
We're fair.
The wings are mine.
Good deal. And I just want to say quickly on this Thanksgiving, thank you to everyone at home who watches us, who supports us. We so appreciate you. And to the entire First Take crew that makes this show possible, we are extremely grateful every day that we get to do this. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
No problem.
The Giants.
Tough game.
My Giants. I'm nervous.
game.
Should we get into it?
Let's do it.
A hobbled Giants team dealing with a myriad of injuries coming off a terrible loss to Detroit will head to Jerry's World to face a Cowboys team that's riding high after, to quote Michael Irvin, a perfect game dominating the Vikings. Both teams 7-3. Now going into today, the Giants' run offense has been near elite this season, averaging the fourth most rushing yards per game and rushes of at least 10 yards, while Dallas's run defense ranks towards the bottom, ranking 26th in rushing yards per game and 27 in yards per rush. Doggy, I'm starting with you. Who needs this one more?
I think the Giants do, only because based on the schedule.
Okay.
Dallas loses this game. Their next two games at home, Houston and the Colts. So you figure they can win both those. That gives them 9 wins. The Giants' schedule is a lot trickier. Remember, they have not played the Eagles yet, and they have 2 with Washington. They also have to play at Minnesota. So the Giants need every possible win they can get, because to get to 10 minimum, that's a hard schedule for them. They're all banged up. Their offensive line is sick. You know, they have no receivers. Dallas has lost 3 Thanksgiving Day games in a row. You know, they lost last year to the Raiders, 38 million watched.
Yes.
Raiders beat them in overtime. So I think it's, a very hard game for the Giants. And here go the other way, maybe. But I think the Giants, from a standpoint of getting to 10, making a postseason, have to have the game.
Well, you're wrong, but what else is new? Happy Thanksgiving.
Right away, I can't have a good morning.
You're wrong, but what else is new? I mean, here's the deal. We have to put things in its proper perspective now that we've reached the second half of this NFL season. No one expects anything from your New York Giants. They're playing with house money.
Because of the injuries?
Well,
we were doing something.
I understand that, but the point is that when you look at the New York Giants, the reality of the situation is they came into this season. That's why Dable was a Coach of the Year candidate and remains to be a Coach of the Year candidate, because the job that he's done is absolutely phenomenal, because minimal expectations were accorded to the New York Giants. With Daniel Jones as your quarterback, you don't really have a starting quarterback in a lot of people's eyes. You don't have a number 1 receiver. Shepard went down with injury. Saquon Barkley is pretty much the lone weapon that you have on the offensive side of the ball in a lot of people's eyes. And the fact of the matter is they've overachieved. So because they've overachieved, anything they give you, as long as they don't wet the bed and nosedive and lose like 6 of the next 7 or 7 in a row or something like that, you'll look at the Giants, and if they end up with 10 wins, you'll stand up and give them a standing ovation. If the Giants won 3 games the rest of the way, the Dallas Cowboys are the one with Super Bowl expectations. The Dallas Cowboys are the one with Dak Prescott. They're the ones with CeeDee Lamb. They're the ones with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard. They're the ones with Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, and Trayvon Diggs. They're the ones with this crew that Jerry Jones has declared publicly is a Super Bowl contender, a team with legitimate Super Bowl expectations. So when I look at it from that perspective, imagine if they went on the field today and lost to the New York Giants on their home turf on Thanksgiving Day. Just imagine that. And also, let's take this into consideration. We got questions as to whether or not they're going to beat San Francisco or Philadelphia, period. Well, if you're the Dallas Cowboys, don't you want a home playoff game? Don't you want Philadelphia and San Francisco to have to come back to Big D, to AT&T Stadium, a.k.a. Jerry's World? Even though you lost to San Francisco there last year, you'd want another shot at them on your home turf instead of having to go on the road, because they ain't going to be the Minnesota Vikings. You ain't going to San Francisco and Philadelphia and doing to them what you did to Minnesota this last week. All of those things, to me, elevates the level of culpability and responsibility and urgency attached to the Dallas Cowboys. They've got a pretty weak schedule compared to that of the New York Giants, no doubt, doggy. But I look at them and I say to myself, you know something? They want a shot at winning the division and getting a top seed. Winning today is a must if you're trying to do that.
Well, he's not wrong. Stevie's proper. If they want to go out there and try to win the NFC, they probably got to have a chance to still catch Philadelphia, and they play them Christmas Eve in Dallas. But I can't evaluate the Giants, Steven. Well, they're not supposed to be 7-2 anyway. Daboll's done a great job. So now we give them a standing ovation because they gave you a good effort. I can't do that. They were 7-up and 2 down. When they were 7-2, did you think they can get to 10 games, win, and give them yes, you did.
Absolutely.
Well, now they lost to Detroit, so now they've lost their little parachute.
Yeah.
They've lost their cushion, so they got to make up for that loss, and that's why today, although it's an impossible game, that's why today, if they ever got it, they'd have the edge on Dallas, and they have a scenario where they should be able to win a couple of more, maybe even 3, and get into the postseason. If they lose today, there's a good chance that they won't even make the playoffs. Dallas is making the playoffs anyway. So if Dallas is making the playoffs, regardless of a win or a loss today, and the Giants may not, how in the world could it be a bigger game for the Cowboys?
Well, see, again, because to me, you're not expecting much for the New York Giants. Listen, we're looking at Darius Slayton, right? This kid, Darius Slayton, I'm looking at his numbers, okay, right here. Do you know he's the Giants' leading receiver? The leading receiver on the New York Giants, 10 games into the season, that's 400.
I'll tell you what, Dak Prescott can't wait to face the Giants, because after losing his first 2 starts against the Giants as a rookie, he has won 9 in a row against them. With a win today, he would join Roger Staubach and Billy Kilmer as the only quarterbacks to beat the Giants in 10 straight games since starts were first tracked in 1950. So we know he has the Giants number, but we talk about Dak Prescott a lot on this show. And we want to know, is he underrated? Like we talk about him a lot, but there's a lot of strong opinions.
Yep.
Dallas has the #1 offense in the NFL since the start of last season, when Dak Prescott is their starting quarterback. So that is a season and a half of Dak Prescott starts. They have the #1 offense. Is he underrated? Do we not give him enough credit?
I think he's properly rated, in my opinion. And I think until we see Dak Prescott, because another number out there that people don't really talk about, and that's the number about his record against quarterbacks that are what we consider franchise quarterbacks. I think it's something like 1-8 against those type of quarterbacks. And listen, until we're accustomed to seeing the Dallas Cowboys have good regular seasons. We want to see if he can take the act on the road, and can he take the act into the postseason, as he only has 1 playoff win. So until he does that, he won't be elevated, in my opinion, to one of the upper echelons, because he has to be the quarterback that we deem is a good quarterback in return.
What do you think, D. Wood? You agree?
Yeah, I do agree with some of what Bart is talking about. I think he's properly, we got him at the right spot. I don't think he's a guy that can put a whole franchise on his back. I think he's a guy that's playing very well within the system that the Dallas Cowboys have going for him. But ultimately, listen, it comes down to the postseason. That's what we talk about when we talk about all the great quarterbacks. What you do in the postseason. And for Dak Prescott, that's what we're waiting to see. We're waiting to see, can he elevate his status in the postseason? Go win games in the postseason, ultimately get the Dallas Cowboys to the Super Bowl. Because until that happens, I think we'll keep Dak Prescott in that kind of second-tier level of quarterbacks.
I mean, I don't know. Like, he won a playoff game against Russell Wilson back when Russell Wilson was good, right? He went toe-to-toe with Aaron Rodgers his rookie year. Rodgers beat him with a ludicrous sideline throw. I mean, he got outplayed by Aaron Rodgers. Is there any shame in that? Ninko, what do you think about Dak?
Well, I think he's been injured a couple times that probably affected his progression here. With the ankle, then he came back, and then he had the hand injury this season, which probably slowed him down. That's something that you have to take into consideration. Last week, he played lights out. I think he's kind of where he's at because of those injuries and because of the inconsistency. If he can continue to grow and be consistent and then win a couple playoff games, I think we would probably put him higher up on the list. But the time will tell if Bart will put him in the top 10. I know his brother, Dak's brother, is going to be upset with Bart because he's out of the top 10.
Look, again, this is the list right here on this piece of paper. All the offenses that have scored more points than the Cowboys have with Dak as their starter. This is it. That's the whole list.
I don't care about
it's a
that.
blank piece of paper over the last year and a half.
Number one offense, number one defense. If you get bounced in the playoffs, that's a you problem because you had everything you needed to be a champion in this league. And if you can't do that, that's on him.
Unless